Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Player profile time here on ysnlive.com. DJ Oakley with you. I appreciate you joining us, but joining me right now is a young man that I have loved watching grow right before my very eyes when this whole thing started at YSN. A young man who serves as kind of the middleman of the Gehring family. He's right there between Jake and Will, and a young man who likes to blow things up, and he's looking to blow up naturally this entire postseason for the South Range Raiders. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we bring in Mr. Luke Gehring. What's up, dude?
Nothing really. Just got done working out, and now I'm eating lunch and sitting at home waiting for practice.
Well, we're just happy that you're not blowing anything to Kingdom Come right now. So thank you for that. So for you, this has been an interesting ride for you. You know, we talked in football season, obviously, but for baseball, you've been on the same team as both of your brothers, as I believe you were in football as well.
Yes.
So, you know, has Jake ever been on the same team as Will? I mean, there's an age gap there, but for you, you've kind of had them both. So, what are the interesting parts of being the middle child, so to speak, and having both your brothers as teammates along the way?
Well, with Jake, like, it was nice to have him, teach me the ropes and, understand the experience part of playing like high school varsity baseball as a youngster and stuff. And I just try to be that for Will because he was our starting catcher last year as a freshman, and I didn't get to play, but like I still wanted to be there for him because it's scary. I remember my first varsity start was against Salem, and it was Carson Rhodes threw and I threw. It was like a freshman v freshman type like tune-up game, and I remember I was freaking out, and Jake was like, "Hey, it's gonna be okay. Just go out there. They're not expecting much out of you. You're a freshman, unproven. So like you did well in JV, they wanted to give you a shot." And I just wanted to take that advice with Will, like we expect things like good things out of you, but anything you do above and beyond is fantastic. So I just try to guide Will into that type of experience, I guess.
Luke, getting to know you a little bit better has been honestly one of the greater things that I've ever seen here on YSN because your leadership has blossomed through injuries, through adversity that you faced. Your leadership has stood and the test of time, so to speak. For you, where do you kind of get that leadership quality from? And how do you persist when things seemingly continue to push against you? You are at your strongest.
I'd rather like when it comes to leadership and stuff, I was always in scouts and stuff, and I got my Eagle when I was 15, and I just had good leaders growing up and saw what it means to be a true leader versus like people that claim to be leaders just because they want to be the head of a franchise or face of a team. And I learned that like a real true leader is like part of the team, whether that it's going good, going wrong, you're there to steer your ship, whether the seas are clear or the seas are stormy. So I just had good leaders to follow and was able to just see what good leaders are, what good leaders aren't, and just keep moving forward. Because I was actually talking about this last night. I'd rather be remembered as like a good leader and a great person than a great athlete, because even last year, just because I couldn't play physically, I still wanted to be a big part of that team we had last year. So.
And you've seen, I mean, you're almost a history buff at this point for South Range baseball. You've seen every type of kind of record. You've seen every wave that's come into the dock. For you, obviously everybody is well aware of what happened in 2018. What are the similarities that you feel that this team has to that team? Because, I mean, there was no championship to win in 2018. This is the first time in a while that South Range hasn't brought home a championship or a conference championship. What kind of similarities do you see between that team that made a run and this team that potentially could make a nice run deep in the playoffs?
Yeah. The similarities I see is, I was talking to Baxter about this, is like early in the season, and I heard this from Jacob, that like their team really didn't gel, and it was a lot of kids kind of playing for themselves, a lot of different athletes from different backgrounds trying to come together to make something happen, which during the regular season, I think they were going in the tournament, they weren't even 500. So I was a little not worried, but like for the last few years, our teams have just gelled and excelled based on the athletes we've had. This year, we've had a lot of youngsters have to step up and, play the game and play it well. And that kind of reminds me of that 2018. We got kids playing in different positions. We got kids flip-flopping or splitting time because we just have to put the best team on the field that we can. And that 2018 team towards the end of their season was really, really close. And I'd like to say out of the last few years, I say this as a group is probably the closest closest knit team that we've had in a while. I know last night we were at Wardle's house swimming and basically the whole team was there. So it's just it's a lot more close knit than I'm used to. And I think that's good because going in, baseball's kind of a team or a game that you got to jive with the rest of your team. So I think that's a good, same with the 2018, good thing going into the playoffs. So
one of the things that I've been most impressed with is your ability to be a team captain, but also be a big brother at the same time. We talked about Will a little bit already. He's been dealt a tough card with this latest injury.
mm-hmm.
For you, who battled through injuries last year, what are some of the conversations that you've had with him about keeping his head up and his chin high?
Well, I keep telling him, you have a lot of time left. So if you need to take this time, take it. But I do want you to play and I do want you to excel, because one of the biggest things I always tell him is and I discovered this last year, is baseball can be taken away from you really fast. And, whether it be you're told that in high school, told that in college, or maybe told that in the league, and whether it be yourself telling you can't play anymore, or a coach telling, or God himself, just try to take advantage of every moment you get when you step out on that field. That's what I keep telling him. And, I want you to play your best, but if you need to take this time to get better, to play your best, we need you later versus need you for a tune-up game this weekend. So I just say, we want you to play your best, but also if you're able to play, go out there and take advantage of what you've been given. So
we talk a lot about all the good things that the Gehrings have to offer. We love interviewing you guys, but there is a sickness that I understand inside the household of buying gloves. And you all have this illness of buying these gloves. We talked about it a little bit in the fall. What have you added to your collection since the last time we chatted?
I believe it or not, I got rid of some stuff because I needed some money to pay for some other hobbies of mine. So I got rid of a college issue Wilson A2000 first baseman's mitt, but I put a lot more energy into forming the gloves that I have and use well, instead of going with a quantity over quality type of situation. This season I kind of rotate only 2 gloves. So
I can appreciate that. So you said there's other hobbies. What are those other hobbies that you're feeding with your glove fetish?
Well, I bought a Camaro last summer.
Okay.
I started fixing it up, and then I was driving for a little bit, and I really messed it up, as a high school boy would with a manual muscle car. So, and I realized that cars are a lot more expensive of a hobby than baseball gloves. So I've just been trying to kind of feed my money to fixing that thing up and getting it back on the road. So,
all right. So you've got the Camaro. What's the dream car for you? I mean, if you had unlimited, you won the Powerball, whatever it may be, what's the dream car, or what's your garage look like if you have unlimited amounts of money?
Well, I have there's too many. I like cars, and they're just an interest to me and stuff. So I feel like there's too many options. But I've always liked it, and it's been my dream car since I was real little. Is a 1969 Plymouth Superbird with the fins, from Cars.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be my probably dream car.
Will we ever catch you driving a Tesla or an electric car or anything like that?
While I don't think they're the next best thing, eventually maybe, but right now, no.
What about? I mean, if you had to give a car to your brothers, if you're because you're going to be rich, you're going to be a great leader, you're going to own a business, all that stuff. What's the gift that you're going to give your brothers as a gift on four wheels, so to speak?
Well, Jake thinks he's a rough and tough country boy, so I'd probably get him a Silverado. And then Will's always wanted a BMW i8, so which is an electric sports car. Not my first choice, but
I can only imagine the conversations you guys have around the lunch or the dinner table at the Gehring house. Take me through some of those conversations with your family. I know your mom is unbelievable when it comes to letting her voice be heard, but your dad likes to give it too. He was one of the first voices I ever heard at South Range. So talk to me about kind of what the conversations are like at the dinner table at the Gehring house.
well, I know last night, or yeah, it was last night. We all sat down for lunch, and the first thing we heard was that the trash cans needed to come up from the driveway. The boxes needed to go to the back of the property. We all had to dust some part of the house, and something about how I needed to go get gas for the lawnmower. So usually, first up is our agenda for the day, and then next we try to have conversations. And I think the one last conversation, my dad, he's going through this BMW phase where he likes looking at them and learning about them. So we were just talking about different BMWs and how everything works and stuff like that. And then started talking about fishing and all this. My mom's still trying to find what else she can have us do around the house before we had to leave for the night. So
So it's just boom, 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 just making sure you take care of it because you guys aren't around the house a whole lot. You're always on the move somewhere,
yeah.
left or right. So that makes a whole lot of sense. All
Yeah.
right, so for you, obviously you're wearing the South Range shirt. There's a lot of pride in that school, especially with your last name. Talk to me about why it's so important and what it's been like for you to wear the burgundy and gold for the last 4 years.
So when I was younger, I went to Boardman, and I always thought that's where I'd end up. But my dad was the high school wrestling coach when I was really young and growing up. And I remember going to like South Range events, and it was just a small community that really, really loved their school. And I like to think that I've done a lot with baseball, and I've gone a lot of cool places and stuff like that through baseball. But like one of my favorite memories and something I'll never forget is running out of the tunnel on a Friday night, because there's just no feeling. There's no feeling to replace, the fight song playing with the band and seeing your friends out there playing, and you look in the stands and you see your classmates and your community, and then there's little Raiders that really look up to you and expect you to hold yourself to a higher standard. I think a lot of South Range kids and faculty do keep themselves up to that standard. I think that's something important, the sense of community. And like, there's nothing like going down to C's Waffles and you get recognized and they tell you have a great game, and you're like, I'm just a high school student trying to balance calculus and baseball. So it's just it's a different sense of community and community pride that I just don't think a lot of schools get or really understand. I know some of my friends from other schools went to a few of our baseball games and football games, and they said it's nothing like that at their school, and they wish they could get that sense of community pride that South Range really takes to the table.
Luke, last question for you. Being a multi-sport athlete, being a guy that is very influential within those four walls of the South Range community in the high school, what's the one thing you want people to remember about you most as you get ready and gear up to walk across that stage and take that piece of paper that says you checked all the boxes at South Range?
I would say, as I said, I was talking about this last night. I want people to remember me as not just an athlete, but everything else I've done, and rather just remember me as like a leader. And remember, I like to think that I say some stuff, maybe they're not too deep, but a little philosophical, I want people to remember, that personality and that what I brought that to the table, rather than what my batting average is or how many strikeouts I have this year. Like, I'd rather them remember the lives that I've touched, and, the kids that I want to succeed, because I want those younger kids to succeed, and I want to set an example so that when they're seniors, they can do the same thing.
Luke, you're a special young man. You know that, and I've told you that for a long time. I can't believe that that the ride's about to come to a close here for your, at least your educational side. I think you might have a few games left in you, but
Yes.
we wish you the best no matter what happens, and we are sure that you're going to be a big time success in whatever you do in the future. Just please don't blow too many things up, okay?
Yeah.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.